All right. Thank you for being here this morning. My name is Crystal Price, and I'm your MC this morning. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping things. If you haven't already, please scan this QR code. We're going to go through the parade of QR codes here in a minute. This allows the Kauffman Foundation, who is over 1 million cups, to count their applications for grant funding. If you come here often enough, we give out little prizes. So yes, please register, and we'll put this up several times during the course of today. What's up? One more up? Relates to the game. Okay. Oh, wait. Do you need the? All right. If you don't get the QR code here or on the screens back there, there's actually a couple of sheets on some of the high tops here. And we can pass these around as well. You'll have several opportunities to tell us that you were here. All right, follow us. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. If you want to be a presenter like the two that you're going to see today, go ahead and scan any of these QR codes and come join us again. I'll leave this up for a second. Can you only present once? Yes. Thank you, Kayla. What's that? You're not 6 months for the same project. Yes, you're not ready yet. You got to cook for a little while. Our hosts here, Team Working by TechNexus, they have hosted us for the last year plus, and they have a special offer for you. Get 1 free week of co-working or a 10% discount on the event space here by scanning this QR code or use the promo code Coffee Club. Next. You want to be a space sponsor or a coffee sponsor? We got more QR codes for that. Or you can definitely talk to one of the organizers. Look for one of us in one of these shirts, and we'd be more than happy to have you. And speaking of coffee sponsors, we want to give a shout out to U3 Coffee. They've been keeping us caffeinated for over a year now. U3 Coffee has been supporting founders. They're based out of Forest Park. They were previously located in 1871, and they have been generous with sponsoring our coffee. And this month's coffee creamer sponsor is me. While we love the U3 coffee, we really love having stuff to put in our coffee. And so if you want to sponsor the coffee creamer, you can have your name, your logo up here as well. Again, you can hit this QR code, find one of us. We have sponsors now through, I think, October of this year, but we always need creamer for our coffee. All right, I think we got 2 more. Shy IRL is part of the Chicago Tech Collaborative, as is 1 Million Cups. And we are, they have a digest that comes out every Monday. If you want to know what's happening in tech and entrepreneurship in the city, make sure you check out Shy IRL. I know that the Tech Week events list is kind of crazy. They do a really good job at making sure all that information is organized. All right, we're back to the QR code for registration. A little bit about 1 Million Cups. This, I'm not supposed to call it a chapter, but I'm calling it a chapter today. We've been here for a little bit over a year and a half. 1 Million Cups is sponsored by the Kauffman Foundation, which has been in existence for almost 13 years now. There's over 200 chapters in the country that meet every Wednesday morning, just like this one. The premise behind 1 Million Cups is get entrepreneurs together over 1 million cups of coffee, and great things are sure to happen. And so we're going to welcome 2 of our entrepreneurs up here today for a special edition of 1 Million Cups during Tech Week. And we are starting with Obi Singh, who's doing New Touch. Can we get a standing ovation for Obi? Yeah. All right.
This works?
Yep. Is that on?
Is this on?
That is on. Here, you want to turn this way?
Yeah. And we go back.
All right. Here we go.
All right, good morning, Chicago. Good morning. Tech Chicago Week, awesome, right? Oh, I was so tired last night. I had to practice this with some of the dolls and pets that my kid has, and I was talking to them, giving this pitch to them. But before I start, I really want to thank Crystal, Connor, and Zeko, who made me make this happen, because without them, I wouldn't have been here. And without them, I wouldn't have been at Onion Dough. I see a few Onion Dough people over here too, right? I see Onion. Whoa. All right, so my name is Anindya Singh Obi, and I'm the founder of a startup called Neeti. We are trying to rewrite the way we work. And before I get into the details, I want all of you to think about the tasks you have done yesterday or last week. I get it, you were at Tech Chicago, but you still wanted to work. Every time you look at it, you see that there is some stuff that takes you away from work, that creates a big disengagement. You get interrupted by a Slack message, you go through your entire email to find work, you try to stay focused every day. This is a very big problem. Based off of Gallup's recent report, disengagement is $1 trillion loss for knowledge workers. That's what we are here to fix. Every time you look at this problem, you try to solve it through some productivity tool. And when you complain about it, your HR team comes to you and says, why don't you meditate? Why don't you de-stress yourself? It's not a mental wellness problem. It's our problem. It's the work culture's problem. It's the work ecosystem that's broken. How do I know that? Because I've spent 25 years in IT consulting, seeing this very problem every day. I go to Fortune 100 companies and solve this for them, get them 20% effort back in spite of the fact that they have amazing tools, Jira, Slack, GitHub. Everyone uses a Kanban board, but they still have their work sitting in their notepad or their email. This team is an amazing team. I've built 2 startups in the past, I've failed, and one of those startups, Dhana, was with me. She came in as a front-end engineer, and she's now a full-stack AI engineer. Bravim is a very smart guy who has cracked RAG, so he's a great agentic AI resource. So we have built this over the months with late-night calls, with conversations with users, and this is how it works. HuTouch connects to your daily tools, be it Slack, Gmail, GitHub, Jira, or any AI coding tool you use. We are starting off with developers, and that's why you see a code screen, but this is for all knowledge workers. When it connects to your daily tools, the first thing you see in the morning is a push notification that says, here is your day. This is the task you got to do. These are the emails you have to look at. This is the meeting you have to go to. Everything prepared for you through one notification. You don't have to create agents. You don't have to prompt. Once you start your task, it brings the work to you. It goes through all the documents that you freak about. It goes through all the tools which has decisions around it, and it brings to you, it gets you prepared, it gets you to start building in minutes, not hours. When you get interrupted, when someone sends you a Slack message asking you what you did about a specific thing yesterday, it'll go through that information by itself, create a response tailored to your work, and send it to you on a notification so that you just click a send and you're done. No more wasting 23 minutes of your day for an interruption. Finally, when you're done with your work, it automatically documents everything. It takes your task, looks at the standards you use, the decisions you made, the documents you use, and it organizes it for you, all in one place. This is the solution that will disrupt the productivity tool market. This is the solution that will disrupt your agentic AI tools market, because these things are only providing patchwork. We are orchestrating the entire layer. That is the new category we are working in. It's a simple revenue model, $50 to $150 per resource per month, and it is based off of your usage. We want to start up with freelance developers and developers at small agencies, and then we want to roll it out to all different freelancing roles like HR people, and financial analysts, lawyers, bless you. And then all said and done, this is what we have done till date. We have spent so much time. We have spent hours, sleepless nights, weekends to come to this point. We have understood the traction. We have created a sales funnel that has 13% conversion rate at an MVP stage, which means 13% of everyone we speak is actually installing our product. We have one design partner which has about 20 developers who are ready to apply this in their next sprint. We have 3 freelancers off of Onion Doors that are interested in using this tomorrow. And here is the reason why I feel we can stand out and be one of the biggest big techs out of Chicago. I'm putting my 25 years of consulting experience, solving those problems through processes, through new tools, through documentation, into one platform. Using that, we have found a beautiful data set, a set of execution steps that has helped us create the output to be 30% better than Claude Code today. I'm not making this up. We have done this through 6 months of constant testing. Now our next step is to go out, use the benchmarks, and prove it to the world. So that is one of the biggest moats we have. At the same time, we are not focused on prompt, rinse, repeat. We are bringing it to you through notification. So it's a new user experience that works seamlessly in your day job. While you use this particular product, it creates data that our rivals, our competitors cannot create. By the time we are there, they would be 6 to 8 months behind us.
How can we help?
So here we are. I've been to this 1 million cups at least 3 times. Every time I've been here, I was amazed with the frank feedback I got from you all. That pushed me to come and ask for these 3 things. And the other thing that we noticed was these 3 things are based off of the challenges we have faced. For last 6 to 8 months, we were trying to get a product to be adopted by our early customers. The problem was a defective code. The features were not as valuable as they needed it to be. But now we have brought it to that point. Now it's time for you guys to use it, look at the value, and talk about it. One of the software agencies are able to save $4,300 per developer per year because it saves 1 hour per day for a developer. Easy. So that's our first task. There's a QR code to our Discord server. You can join us over there, take the app, work with it, and see how it saves you time, how it gets you to stay focused. The second challenge we faced was a community. All of us have accepted this as a norm, and interruption is acceptable. I don't accept that. Every interruption costs you 23 minutes of your day. Every time you go out to all the tools to figure out what you need to start working on, it costs you 30 minutes of your day. I see you guys nodding to it. I see you have seen this problem. You're running through your emails every day. Why? Because it takes a lot of time to understand the garbage that sits in there. How do we clean it up? This is how we do it. We need to start talking about it. We need to accept that we have to change the way we work. So what we have started up doing is we have a focused co-working day every week, once in a week. We bring in people in a nice, quiet place. We work all day. And towards the end of the day, if you have had a productive day, I'll buy you a drink. We've been doing it for 2 to 3 weeks. Crystal was one of those. She was drunk. No, I'm sorry. She was not.
Take him up on his offer for the co-working day and the free drink.
Yep.
Let's give Obi a round of applause.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, questions?
You're
not done yet.
Is that for me?
We'll give one to you. And
Yes. Yes, no.
The whole premise is, from my understanding, is your workflow is notification based, but you're trying to get rid of the interruption notification. Seems like chasing your tail a little bit, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
So our intention is not to just hit the interruption space. Our intention is to get you rid of tool fatigue, help you get out of the stress of documenting your work every day. So we want to create an autonomous companion. We have created an autonomous companion. I showed you the product itself. At the end of the day, say you're a developer, the only thing you need is IDE or your VS Code and our product, HuTouch. You don't have to go out of it because it stays there. It keeps you focused. You don't have to go to Slack. You don't have to go to Jira. You don't have to go to emails. It'll bring everything to you by itself. A very autonomous behavior. And this is because it understands your profile. It understands the information that we get off of your tools, and it autonomously creates the workflow for you. It orchestrates your entire workday. Does that help?
I'll have to give it a try. Yeah.
One
Right.
customer. Thank you, Noah.
All right. You first and then Stuart.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I use Claude. I run a small agency. So my question is, when Claude hallucinates constantly and I constantly have to correct it, and your system's autonomous, how do I ensure that I'm actually getting the right information instead of just information that looks right?
That's one of the key things we have cracked, and that's where I was saying our output is 30% better than Claude. We have tested one-on-one with Claude Code to like generate code out of it. The reason is we have created this entire system using all different agentic tools like MCP tools, web search tools, and we have put strong guardrails so that it focuses on your role. So let's say you're a developer, it focuses on how you code. It goes, figure out your code, finds the context of your code, coding standards. It goes to the task and brings the requirements specific to the task and tailors everything to your task. So we are very focused on what you're currently doing, not generalizing it across the board. That easily gets us more than 20% accuracy. The remaining 10% is IP. But yeah, we have tested it for 6 months. We've got consistent output where our output is 92% accurate. Claude Code is 68%.
Excellent, well done. A couple of questions. One, I keep hearing Claude Code. I'm curious how it compares to Claude the Cowork. I think Cowork has really built the ability for non-technical people to build their own agents. I know you had said at the start of your presentation, you don't need to build an agent, but I can for $20, which undercuts you by a material amount. So curious about your thoughts on Cowork as a competitor and Cowork's efficacy, because I agree, code lower, Cowork I would put higher, especially if the agentic task is to aggregate the necessary notifications that limit your need to context switch. The second question, so Cowork. Second question is, this audience often comes either to present or to ask about how to get introductions to angels. I'd like you to share with the audience what efforts you've made so far and what success that has been. The third thing is you've mentioned 13% conversion, and I'd like to know whether or not any of those are paying. So,
Okay.
please.
All right, thanks, Stuart. Loaded set of questions.
Yeah.
First one, Cowork. So the way Cowork works is it takes control over your computer.
Yep.
Do you want it to control your computer while you're focused?
Well, what I want is it to aggregate the things that I should be paying attention to without my having to.
Right. So we don't need to control your computer for that.
No, but you would aggregate the things that I need to pay attention to.
Yeah. So with Cowork, you have to tell it how to figure out what you're doing. We don't record your stuff. We don't take control of your computer. It does everything behind the screens. So it is a matter of convenience with Cowork, right? I'm sorry?
So I would argue that so does Cowork.
You have to,
This is my Slack, whether or not I'm in it.
right, but you have to tell it what you need of Slack. You have to explain to it, go to Slack, figure out what is the work out of Slack, what are the documentations, what are the decisions, and how do you store it. So we are trying to control and help you manage 4 important things in your work: task, communications, meeting, and documentation.
Okay.
By mid of next year, we plan to launch email clients, document storage system, task management system, to go against another set of market where Notion is big. That way, you're really not interested in then buying any other tools. Everything lives in one place, all organized autonomously by you. Tell me if Cowork can do that.
I mean, to me, yeah, but go to the next question then.
Okay. So your next question was related to traction.
Version, anyone paying?
Yeah, so we are early. We have early adopters who are giving us feedback. So we have given it to them for like 3 months free, so that they can give us good feedback and get us to the PMF level or the aha moments the moment they install the product. We don't want them to go through a process of learning a new workflow to pick up our product. If we are focused on getting people to stay engaged, we don't want them to change the way they work. That's why push notifications lives on your desktop. It sits on your system tray, just like your Wi-Fi, and it'll be there active as an autonomous companion for you.
And then how are you?
Angels.
Your own introductions. That was the last question.
Yeah, so when it comes to Angels, we haven't started fundraising, but I've bootstrapped it till date. It's the right time for us to get into funding because we have brought the entire product all the way from scratch to what is the traction, what is the sales funnel, what does the product look like, what is the PMF journey for the customer. Now what we need is, we need to bring up the team, get some salaries out. I need to get out of my Maggie diet. And so we are going to work through Angels by end of this year. We want to get a funding round done. I've spoken to a few very interesting people. I've spoken to Danny from Mucker, and I love their concept. They're more think partners than you just giving money out. So I love that concept. When people come and talk to me about the pain point, that's where we connect. That's where we have that think leadership that comes in. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think Obi will be hanging around for a little while. If you have more questions, he'll be happy to talk to you about HuTouch. But we are going to get ready for our next presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
Give him a round of applause again. Thank you.
Now I can sit.
Can I have that? Thank you. You're welcome. While we're getting this set up, this is a dangerous question to ask in this room. Any standout Tech Week events for the remainder of the week that are free for people to attend? CJ.
There's a P3E is having a fancy brunch on Friday at 11 a.m. I'm blanking on where now. Sorry. P33. It's on Luma. So if you look up at the Tech Week event, it's on Zeko's map too. That's where I found it. Yes, that seems to be like a really cool big.
Yes, it is. It is the Building Resilient Communities one.
Great. There you go. So you know better than me.
There's a tech walk on Friday morning if you missed the one yesterday. We are relocating to the Riverwalk for this one, and it starts at 9 a.m. So hope to see you there. That's also on Luma. Yes, Renee, and then Dan, and then we're going to move on. All right, Dan.
There's a Match House event at Civic Lyric Opera. Match House is for founders and funders, a lot of investors, a lot of founders, right down the street at Canal at Here Technologies, starting at 5 p.m. Yep.
All right, thank you. Can we give a standing ovation and round of applause for Akhil Kumar with Mavora? Is that right? Yeah, all right.
So thank you so much, and thank you, Obi, for the great presentation. This is my first time here, so pretty excited to present, but also very excited to meet everyone. But for reference, I'm working on Mavora, and we're building the intelligent coding layer for charter operators and bus transportation companies. But before I dive a little bit into what we do, I want to talk a little bit about myself. So hi, I'm Akhil, and I'm a rising sophomore at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, studying computer science. And I'm building Mavora alongside a 4-person dedicated team with my co-founder, Ritham, who happens to be here today as well. So if you've ever booked a charter bus or a transportation company service, you've probably filled out request a quote forms, hit submit, and waited days for someone to get a quote back to you. On the operator's side, charter quotes are pretty complex. Pricing varies and depends on a lot of different factors like timing, bus availability, and driver and vehicle assignment. The problem is that these current static forms do not get the information needed to collect and correctly price a quote upfront right then and there. The sales representative often opens these quote requests, finds out that half the information is missing, figures out what's missing, calls and emails back, often 3 to 4 times in a specific cycle, reconstructs basic itinerary, applies operator pricing rules, enters the quote into a legacy system, and finally sends it out to the end customer to sometimes not even get a confirmed trip back. When requests like this are repeated across every trip, across the entire business, thousands of hours are lost spent in follow-up time for details that could have been captured upfront. After-hour leads go cold, resulting in over 1.2 annual inquiry value of quotes that never get reached. So we built a way to collect this complexity and process all this information at once via a real-time dynamic AI web chat that figures out what's missing, asks the proper questions, applies operator pricing rules, and sends a ready-to-review quote to dispatchers and charter sales representatives, allowing them to send quotes to customers within minutes. And so how did we get here? Well, my co-founder and I are both computer science students at the University of Illinois. And we started by tackling this problem after I had an internship learning about the entire manual coordination process along these transportation companies. So we dived deep into building, constructing a web chat interface, an operations dashboard to manage drivers and vehicle assignments, and a driver app to track drivers in real time, hoping to sell this as a one-time package for all operators. But we ran into a couple of problems. One, nobody wanted to rip out what they already had and replace their existing software with our technology. And two, we had no credibility in the market as two young 18-year-olds trying to prove that our software was the next legendary transportation software. And so we moved back to customer discovery and figured out a specific pain point and a wedge to enter the market, which happened to be quoting. So how does our business model kind of work? Well, we have a monthly usage fee and we have a monthly platform fee and a usage fee. So our platform fee covers our configuration, setting operator pricings to whatever they charge, and as well as the current trips that they do on their platform. And our usage fee, we charge based off any sort of revenue increase that they're able to kind of do based off of our software, as we do help them do more bookings per month. And so we're now being tested with real transportation operators and working with a Midwestern design partner. So like I had mentioned, we had built the full software first for our original early design partner, and we are currently in the pilot stage with them and signed a $5,000 letter of intent. We also participated in iVenture last summer, which is UIUC's top startup incubator, where we learned a lot about building our company and built the foundation for our team, pricing, product market fit, and a lot of other things. So a recent win for us is we are now in the process of closing one of the largest charter and motor coach operators in the state of Illinois. They're considered a top 50 motor coach operator in all of North America. So it's a pretty big lead for us. And we're currently figuring out the legal process. So it's a lot of redlining back and forth, which is a fun experience, but we're gonna hopefully get through that pretty quick and sign them as a client. So what do we need help with? We're early founders. This is our first time kind of building a company and taking something from scratch. So anyone who knows sales, go to market, how to break into industries, especially industries that don't have technology at the forefront. Second is legal and commercial guidance. So I'm not a lawyer by chance. I'm a computer science student. So a lot of these terms are me and Claude learning late at night. Like what does this confidentiality mean and that. And so anybody who has legal and commercial guidance or corporate attorneys who can kind of guide us a little bit through the process. And then last, anybody who's taken pilots to full-time contracts or design partner contracts to full-time paid customers. Thank you so much. And if you want to, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can scan that QR code. I'll gladly answer any questions you guys may have.
So I'm the proud daughter of a truck driver, so I think this is amazing. I love your presentation, so congrats on building this out. I think
So people in the back can hear you.
Oh, so I mentioned I am a proud daughter of a truck driver, so it's very exciting to see that you're revolutionizing something that I've seen as a problem for so long.
My question around is integration for some of these. I know that that's something that you're already considering. How about these more like family traditional old businesses can adapt? And are you looking to scale specifically with the larger businesses first or tackling that small business question of adaptation?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the after we figured out like, hey, we can't sell this entire software to all these transportation companies, we decided to figure out a wedge, and our whole strategy was to tackle like a large enterprise client, right? Because we knew that if we can, like, we don't have brand name, but if we can leverage their brand name, then we can close more clients after that. And so we went out to for some of the biggest charter companies, and we finally got someone that we're working with. And so from there, we're going to work with them, execute that properly, and then hope to use that brand name or partnership to go and acquire other clients. So to answer that part of the question, like larger companies at first, hoping to see smaller companies follow that trail, if that makes sense. And then the second thing about integration, so that's actually one of our biggest challenges is transportation is not the same unified workflow, right? So there's like 3 different archetypes that we've broken down, at least the Chicago Beachhead Transportation Company segment into. And so that's actually something that we're actively figuring out. You can talk to my co-founder who's in charge of all of our implementation stuff, but kind of a basic overview of what we're doing for first client is they already have existing APIs or active programming interfaces, so it's kind of just plug and play right there. But that's a good question, and that's something we're actually talking about last night. So thank you for that question.
Additional questions? Robert?
Great presentation. So I've got 2 questions kind of in the realm of your third ask on pilot to paid commercialization. So the first question is, when it comes to the individuals who you're talking to now, what expectations are you setting with them when it comes to using your product? Like, is the intention that they understand that this is something that is going to be temporary with move to a more paid contract? If so, how are you starting those conversations? And is there any pushback that you're getting on that front? And then on the second piece of that question, when it comes to going to a paid model, is the issue kind of to your second point, like legal, like actually structuring those contracts, or what's actually what's the internal blocker there?
Yeah, so good question. Legal, I think we're able to kind of get to, and we figured a lot of that out based off of resources we got through our incubator program. But a lot of the pilot to paid kind of commercialization issue is in like, for example, we had an in-person meeting with the charter company, and they asked like, how much do you guys charge? And so we knew our product wasn't there, and we didn't have product market fit. So we said until it meets your requirements, we want to work on a 1-month partner phase, build alongside you guys, and then we'll think about like a full-time contract. And the way that we kind of articulated was we'll work 1 month on a design partner phase to make the product actually meet the requirements. After that, we'll do customer phase testing. So we'll actually deploy it on their website, and we'll charge kind of a small monthly retainer. And then between that point and full time is kind of where the struggle is. Like, we don't know exactly in the process, like, how do you convince the people? Like, is it a value-based pricing? Is it like a sales kind of technique that you say, hey, we're saving this many hours, we increase this much revenue, we should take X% cut of how much revenue we made you. So I think it's like between that process is where we're kind of stuck. Yeah.
So you just said value-based pricing. And then described something that you maybe think is different, but is also value-based pricing because it's like you're taking it out of the savings or taking it out of the revenue increase. And so if you, and this may take a little bit of research, and maybe this is something you learn by working with that work design partner, but saying, okay,
Connor?
because you can quantify that, right? How many hours have I saved of employee time? How much does that employee get per year? Divide that into hourly, multiply, and all of a sudden it's like $10,000 a month or whatever, and then you take you can base your pricing on a percentage of that. Like, it has to be worth it. It also has to be worth them to like do the headache of implementing it. But once they're implementing it, then it's easy. I did have a question about, so like you're talking mostly about the experience with the businesses. I think you can also, there's a selling point here for working with the consumers, because like as a person who doesn't run a company like this but has booked vendors before, and it takes me 3 or 4 days to get a quote, and I'm like floating around, and maybe it's way more expensive than I ever imagined. If you can sort of automate estimates for them, and then people can self-filter so that they're not spending hours on customers who are never going to use their product because it's way too expensive. That's another angle to be like, hey, we're saving you this for all of these, this 50% or however many of their potential customers are never materializing, and so that's another value add.
Yeah, thank you for that. We actually had that feedback as well. So one of the things that we learned was there's like a big sticker shock management, as you talked about. Like for reference, that just means like you'll send in a request for a quote, they spend 2 days figuring it out, and then they send the quote back and the customer doesn't confirm it, right? So it's a waste of time on both ends, on the customer side as well as the operator side. So we actually are able to provide estimates as well for these customers. So that's one thing that we're doing.
And I think selling is like we're reducing the number of hours you have to spend on something that was never going to work in the first place is a huge sell also.
Okay, thank you.
We have time for 2 more questions. Robert gets a bonus.
Yeah, at one point you mentioned, going back to your third point, that so you have this process of you want to work with a design partner, then you want to move into some type of retainer type of system there, and then it's that final step getting to actual paid full-time contract there. And so I'm wondering, with these conversations you're having now, right? Has this been something that you've mentioned? And so they're asking you for, so what is kind of the current process that you're going through to, like, is this something, it seems like from the way you answered that you haven't really mentioned to them that this is something or like discussed what that would look like. And so I'm wondering, like, what's the blocker there from discussing that in the future? And what is your strategy to actually, like, just ask them, like, if we said this without even maybe naming a specific price, would they be willing to do that? Like, what's kind of your state of going and closing that final piece and talking with your customer about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the reason why, yeah, from what you mentioned, you're right. So we haven't talked and brought it to the surface about the full-time contract. And the reason we didn't do that is because we know that our product isn't there yet. Like, we needed somebody to work with alongside to build credibility in our product, because a great product can't sell itself. And when we walked into that meeting, the product did sell itself. And so there are still things that we need to iterate with the product. And one thing that I've learned is if it is for free, like for a design partner phase, we get a lot of good feedback that is needed in order to develop a product. I feel like once we get past that phase, we can think about like a full-time contract, because now I think like if we even brought that up, they'd be very hesitant. And so that's why I didn't bring that up. And then to your point of how are we going about this, we had 2 online calls with them and then an in-person meeting with their entire team. And then that's when we like verbally closed the deal. So now we're like getting it on paper. And then after that, the NDAs are signed. We're going to have a pilot scoping call with everything laid out, our SIW work agreement and things like that. And we haven't really figured out like how we're going to bring full-time contract into that, whether or not we should even mention that. That's honestly a question that we kind of have for the audience of how to go about that. So I hope that answers your question.
I get the last question. And it's the Stuart question. So you asked about other people who have sales and go-to-market experience. What has your customer discovery been thus far, and what have you been doing in order to meet people within the transportation software or family-owned operating business arena?
Yeah, so back at school, I was cold emailing a bunch of companies and hopping on calls with founders, acting as a researcher and using my student card to the best of my advantages. Came in Chicago in June and started cold calling a bunch of companies after realizing our first idea was not that prominent, and as well as in-person meetings. And so I kind of have a playbook. I talk to these customers and extract information and identify common patterns that I see. And that's how we got to the charter idea. So we kind of validated it with customers, did segment validation, and then kind of pursued that idea. So a lot of in-person conversations. Bulk of it came from cold emails and getting on calls, as well as just cold calling these charter companies to extract information.
All right, thank you so much. Everyone give Akil a round of applause. And that is 1 million cups. We'll be hanging around for a bit longer. Feel free to hang out, co-work, drink more coffee, find our founders. But before you all leave, we need a group picture and a token of our appreciation for you coming and sharing your businesses with us. These are very coveted. You got to get up here and present. I was going to say, who in this room has one of these? All right. Perfect. You can get one of these too. So scan that QR code or come to talk to a presenter to present. And thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, presenters and organizers, please come to the front for the group picture.
Thank you. Absolutely, well done. I want to talk to you about the photo. Yeah, I hate screen recorders.
You're gonna need that for yourself.
You are going to need that.
Put on the screen registration.
I am.
And everyone were doing that. They were doing agents, guiding agents on over. Would you say like go over their emails and like know your
chance to text him here.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I was waiting for you to finish your submission stuff. I didn't want to bug you because I know you said you have to do it by 10.